Hey everybody, it's Emily from ARG Schooling, and today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite picture books. Picture books are one of my favorite things. I have a lot in our collection, even though my kids are all getting older now. But when they were small, I went a little nuts buying all the picture books because they're beautiful and I wanted to own all of them. So I thought it'd be fun today to just talk a little bit about some of the ones that are family favorites that my kids have loved over the years, that I have loved over the years. So without further ado, I'm just going to get started. And these are in no particular order. I just went and culled books off my shelves just now to make a pile. So the first book I would like to talk about is Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. And this is a classic. I'm pretty sure most of you have probably seen this or read this to your children or read it as a child. But this is a family favorite and all of my kids have just loved this book and the illustrations are beautiful. I mean, Maurice Sendak is brilliant. And we have in our family a tradition that we have put the Wild Rumpus to music. So when we get to "And now," cried Max, "let the Wild Rumpus start," we have to sing each of the Wild Rumpus pages. Dee 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 dee. And I don't know who started this. I think it was my mother-in-law, possibly. But that's how my husband taught me how to read Where the Wild Things Are, and that's how we've always done it. That, it's just a tradition in our house, and my kids love this book. When my boys were 2 or 3, I think they might have been 3, we had a Wild Things party for their birthday, and yeah, it was really cute. We had all kinds of wild things. I think our cake was the cover of the book. We did a Wild Rumpus with all their friends. It was cute. One of my favorites from my childhood is Blueberries for Sal by Robert McCloskey. I remember poring over this book as a little girl and just like desperately wanting to go pick blueberries so that I could find a bear and hang out with Bear Cub and the bear mom. I don't know why, but that's something that I loved as a kid. And so I was really excited about this book when I finally picked up a copy for my oldest when she was about 1 or 2. I think she's 2 when I bought this. And yeah, and this is our second copy because the first one fell apart. But I love this book so much. Just the simplicity of the illustrations. It's all in blue and white. The illustrations are beautiful. Just the fun of the story of a little girl following a mother bear and the little baby bear following Sal's mom, and the mix-up, and I don't know. This book is perfect, and I'm a big fan of McCloskey. Another book that was always a bedtime favorite was The Little Mouse, the Red Ripe Strawberry, and the Big Hungry Bear, and this is by Dawn and Audrey Wood. This book is hilarious, and my kids have always thought it was hysterically funny, and it got to a point when we'd read it so many times that my husband and I were getting bored, so he started to add different things to the story. So it wasn't a big hungry bear, it was a teeny tiny giraffe or something silly, and we would just adjust the story accordingly. And so it was always really funny, and it's even more hilarious when you do it like that, because then, the kids can't get over how ridiculous the mouse is being. Why is he afraid of a teeny tiny giraffe? Or whatever. But it's a really silly book. It's interactive because the kids always wanted to help the mouse and help him eat the strawberry. I don't know. It's one of those books that I think will probably end up in my grandchildren's bookshelves, because my kids are going to want to read this to their kids. When my youngest was about 3, she went through a phase where we were only allowed to read one book. That was the only book she would accept listening to for a solid year. And that book was Jan Brett's Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. I had this book memorized at one point because it's the only book we read for a year. And I love Jan Brett. Her illustrations are just the most beautiful thing. I mean, They're so detailed. There's so much happening in each picture. Her illustrations are gorgeous. So that is what kept me going that year. But all of her books are spectacular, but this one was a favorite for a long while. And it's a really good edition of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. If you want to tell a classic story, this is a great edition to own. When my boys were little, this was their book of the year when they were about 2 or 3. I think it was 2 and 3, possibly. And Chicka Chicka Boom Boom was their favorite thing. We had or maybe we still have, one of those Scholastic DVDs where they retell the story in video format. And the version of Chicka Chicka Boom Boom was put to song, and they knew that song by heart when they were 3 and would sing it. And when my kids were little, and we had to go on car rides, and they would get very fussy. My kids don't like to travel. And so I would sing the Chicka Chicka Boom Boom song, and it was like instant silence until I finished the song. So we would sing this over and over and over. This book is really fun. It's really fun to read. This is our second copy, which is still falling apart. I need probably to get a third copy at some point, even though my kids are all too old for the story, technically. But this is how my boys learned the alphabet. I mean, my youngest has enjoyed this one too. It's beautifully illustrated, and it's really fun. It's a really silly story about the letters, the lowercase letters climbing up the tree, falling down and getting hurt, and all of the mothers and fathers, the capital letters, coming to rescue them. And it's just a lot of fun. Another favorite, and these make great early readers too, are the Piggy and Elephant books, or the Elephant and Piggy books, excuse me, by Mo Willems. These are hilarious and so well done. They are very simple books, and we have a lot of them, but the stories are really all about the illustrations. He builds so much emotion into his characters' faces, and there are very little words, but you can really get so much out of the story just looking at the illustrations. And we are huge Elephant and Piggy fans in this house. We own the stuffed animals for them, who often come out to help tell the stories. And my teenagers love these books still. They like to read them with their little sister because, you know, they make excuses that they want to just read to their sister, but really they want to read Elephant and Piggy because who doesn't? They are hilarious. Another favorite is Tommy DePaola's The Art Lesson. This was my son's favorite book for a long time because he is an artist and he wants to grow up to be an artist still. And Tommy DePaola did just that. He was a little boy who wanted to be an artist, and he grew up to become one. And this is a book all about his childhood and how his family and teachers inspired him to continue with his art and encouraged it. And I just think that's awesome. Too often people tell kids that oh, that's not a realistic career, don't do that. But it could be, and I don't believe in telling my children that they can't do something that they're naturally gifted at because it's not lucrative. So I love stuff like this that is encouraging and shows that, yeah, you can do that. So I like this book so much, and I love Tommy DePaola. I can't do this without mentioning Caps for Sale. This is one of my favorites to read aloud. My kids have all loved it. We really get into the story and do all the motions and the stuff that the monkeys do. This one's about a man who's walking through the village trying to sell his caps, and he isn't having the best day, so he goes to take a nap by a tree. And when he wakes up, all his caps are gone because the monkeys in the tree have taken them, and he can't get them back because the monkeys are being naughty. Or so he thinks. But once he gets his anger under control, the monkeys give them back. It's just one of those silly stories that it's just so much fun to read. My kids have all grown up with this one. And I'm going to wrap this up. My last book that I want to show you is one that is one of my all-time favorite picture books for children, because I remember this from when I was little, watching Sesame Street and hearing the song We All Sing with the Same Voice. This book is the same song. It's just put in book format with beautiful illustrations of children living in all kinds of different ways with all different kinds of families, and it's just, I love this song. I love the story. It's one of my favorites, and I always recommend this to people because I think it's a beautiful book. So those are some of my family's favorite picture books. I'd love to know what your favorites are, because even though I don't have children small enough to really get into picture books anymore, I still like to look at them. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next one. Happy reading. Bye!